It's time now for New Zealand sporting history. In this segment, we often go way back in time, but not today. Today, we are doing something a bit different. We're focusing on somebody whose time is right here, right now. Let's hear our guest in action.
Butcher is away. It looks like the Kiwis to lose. Lucas Rohan battles in bronze medal position. It's the German.
Look at this, the Butcher with the lead. Battling for the silver, Joseph Clark in second. Who's in third? That's going to be Green. That's going to be Noah Hege.
Clark will go the same side as Butcher on this last upstream, mate. It's his only chance to take out the Butcher on the last upstream. Hege is in bronze medal position, but Clark is too late. It is the Butcher. Oh my goodness, he's beaten the 3-time world champion. And will Clark get round for the silver? He does. It is Hege in bronze medal position. The Butcher takes gold.
Dynamite commentary there. That was, of course, Finn Butcher winning the gold medal at the inaugural Olympic kayak cross event at the Paris Olympics last year. That moment in time catapulted him from small town Alexandra into the nation's consciousness. And then last month, after a public vote, he was awarded the Favourite Sporting Moment Award at the 2025 Halbergs for the emotional post-race embrace he shared with his father. And Finn Butcher joins me now. Kia ora to you. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for your time.
Kia ora. Thank you very much. Gets your heart rate going, listen to that commentary. Eh?
Well,
it gets mine going anyway.
I was wondering whether do you ever go back and watch it and listen to the commentary and relive that moment yourself?
It'd be rude. I'll be lying to say I hadn't watched it a few times.
Yeah.
I think Mum and Dad have probably watched it more than I have, but I mean, just like at a few events and stuff, people play it. So, and then things like that, even just listening to it, you just kind of get sweaty hands and like your heart rate moving.
Some good commentary makes a big difference too, doesn't
it? Yeah. No, they were definitely into it and firing up the crowd. And we also had some really good commentary, like on the ground in Paris too. So the crowd there had some pretty fizzed up commentators, which definitely makes a difference.
What a year it's been. Tell me a bit about how your life has changed since August last year.
It's just pretty busy now, I suppose. I mean, a few people asked me that, like when I was at the Halbergs the other month, and a few bits and pieces, and it's kind of like, I mean, attending those sort of things. Definitely wasn't doing that before the Olympics last year. So that's how that's different. And there's still a lot that's the same in terms of I still go kayaking every day or go training and still really love doing that. So in that regard, it hasn't changed much, but definitely it's pretty crazy knowing or seeing people recognize me and to be recognized for doing something pretty cool last year. And I think life's the same, but also quite different at the same time. So it's fun regardless.
Because I guess, elite athletes in some sports, rugby, cricket, soccer, football, they, I guess, throughout their development as an athlete, they know that if they hit it really, really big, they are going to be really, really famous, and everybody is going to know who they are. And I suppose that's the case with Olympians who are really hotly expected to win gold medals. Oftentimes they are in the public imagination and they're being talked about beforehand. They're really recognisable. That wasn't the case for you in your gold medal. Were you prepared for the level of fame that you've gone on to, I'll say enjoy. I do wonder whether it is enjoyable.
I was not prepared one bit.
Yeah.
Not at all. I mean, I knew that, the Olympics is a really special event, and for Kiwis as well, it's a really special thing. It's, it only happens every 4 years. We, like everyone says, we punch well above our weight in terms of how well we go at the Olympics, and sport is a big part of our history and culture and national identity, I suppose. So, like we obviously knew all those things, but and I've got sporting heroes that are New Zealand Olympians, and I suppose I knew that there'd be a bit of media and stuff if I did well or whatever. But yeah, it's probably surpassed expectations in terms of that stuff. And yeah, it's funny actually talking with my coach Aaron, like all through the whole games and before it and stuff. And like we obviously talked about how crazy the whole event is and could be.
Yeah.
And yeah, we after it, we still look at each other and go like, this is still crazy. And yeah, we had a bit of a joke to ourselves that we always said like, this is going to be crazy before, most of our races, just like as a bit of an inside joke kind of thing. And yeah, turns out it is.
That's how it's turned out. I love it.
That's how it turned out. Yeah.
Bring me back to the beginning then. How did you get into kayaking in the first place?
Yeah, so I grew up in small town Alexandra in Central Otago, and my dad was always into multi-sport. So he did the coast to coast a few times, and so we always had kayaks around, and we've got photos of us for family fish and chips up at Lake Dunstan on a Sunday afternoon with and me in a kayak and my sister Meg as well. And mum and dad used to tie a string to the kayak and let us kind of potter our way out and then pull us back in, so we didn't go too far out in the lake. So there was always a bit there. Dad was definitely always into the outdoors and that kind of stuff. And then when I was about 9, our family friends kind of told me to go along to a novice slalom race, canoe slalom race we had during the Blossom Festival in September, just on our local river. And I went along with quite a, I don't know, 4 or 5 of my mates from primary school, and just loved it, just absolutely loved it. And I don't know what it was about it, but yeah, for some reason I was hooked, and we had the prize giving, and I got a chocolate fish because I won the little novice race. And the one of the guys who was running it, Alan Hoffman, he was selling an old slalom boat, old beat up thing, and he kind of said at the end of the prize giving, if anyone wants to, anyone needs a boat, I've got this old boat, couple $100, you can come over to Wanaka and pick it up and thing. And Dad sort of said, he obviously saw that I enjoyed the afternoon, and sort of said, if you want that, we can go get it, and you need to go and talk to Sarge about it. So yeah, after that, it was kind of hooked from there on, and most if not all of that group of friends that we all went together to that race kept going. Right. So that was our sport, like we started going on a Wednesday afternoon up to an irrigation pond in Alexandra, just for an hour or so on a Wednesday, and to the little training group. And then as you get older, and we went to the secondary school champs when we were still at primary school, a few of us. Wow. And then you just go a few more days a week, and then you end up like, I don't know, probably by the time I was 15 or something, you're going most days a week. And then we, down south especially, we always went on little adventures in the weekend. So we'd go up to Skipper's Canyon, go camping and kayaking all day, or, trips down the Roaring Meg or whatever it was. And I think those kind of just hooked me in. And then, it wasn't like, it was just progressive, right? Like I just started paddling a bit more, and then the next year would be more and more. And I was going right at secondary school level, and kind of progressed from there. But it was never like, the club was never like, we want to create, an Olympic champion. It was just like, all these people love going kayaking, so let's just, allow them to do it more and more.
Was it important for you for how things have turned out for you, was it was it important to have that group of people who were all interested in doing this, rather than it purely coming from your own drive? Because I'm interested in, in sports like kayaking, which don't have like a lucrative professional route that you can sort of look at, necessarily that you can sort of look at and aim towards. There must be sort of forks in the road where you are faced with decisions. Do I continue on pouring these hours into this activity, or do I go and use that time in a different kind of way? But I guess when it's coming from more than just within you, when it's like a group activity, that must factor into it as well.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. I think like we had a really, really good group of friends. Like all my best friends, or most of my best friends, were kayaking at school. And also the club in Central Otago, there was people from the age of 9 all the way till, 70 or 75 who were kayaking, and we'd all hang out together. And, everyone would be on those camping trips up to Skipper's Canyon or things like that. So you kind of got, you're kind of friends with a large, a diverse group of people. And I think that definitely helped. And then, like those forks in the road that you say, there's always, constantly them. And some of the bigger ones, like when you leave home and decide to, go work or go to university or what, is like a time where, especially in our sport, you see a lot of people kind of maybe step a little bit away from it because other things come up, right? Like they want to go to university, and that might not be offered in a place that allows you to actually kayak a lot or train for kayaking. So there was definitely, that was one of mine. But I think probably as well, the way that I was brought up by my parents, but also in the club, of having, like, it wasn't about just winning. So when things were like harder, like results weren't happening or things like that, it was just like I still had the real love, like the pure love of just going paddling. And so then I could keep, just at least I could keep that, and then the other decisions could flow from there. So that kind of allowed, I guess, the ups and downs of being an athlete to not be so massive up and massive down.
And I guess you're enjoying, you're enjoying nature, you're enjoying the outdoors, probably a bit more appealing than, for example, the bottom of a swimming pool, as some athletes would probably navigate. In terms of,
I give the swimmers a bit at the gym.
In terms of kayak cross, the event that you won, the first one was held at the Olympics in 2024. So you won the first, the inaugural kayak cross at the Olympics. How does the event actually work for people who aren't familiar?
So I think basically the base of it is it's a head-to-head event. So there's heats of 4 people all racing each other down the course. There's, I think, 7 or 8 gates that you need to negotiate, and an Eskimo roll. So you've got to go upside down and roll all the way back up, kind of under like a limbo bar is the best way to describe it. And then the event kind of runs in like a almost like a tournament bracket. So you got a heat of 4, the top 2 progress to the next round, and the bottom 2 are knocked out. And you go all the way down until you're at a heat of 4 for the final. And that obviously decides the medals. So like you say, the first time was in Paris, and we've been having it at World Champs for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years before last year. But with the knowledge that it was going to be in the Olympics in Paris. So pretty unreal.
Exactly, and something to aim towards as well. I mean, as you were approaching the Olympics, because this is a new event, I guess, all bets are off, right? Like, you have world champs to maybe to guide who might do well and who might not, but I suppose the Olympics are an entirely different proposition. Were you confident heading into Paris?
I was, like there's probably if you looked at the start list for the games, it's a bit funny because the Olympics, they kind of, because only one person or two people from each nation who qualify can compete, there's sometimes some names in there that aren't at the top of some of the results list, but then obviously also there's most of the really good ones as well.
Yeah.
So my world ranking, I think, was like 9 coming in, but also the world ranking system's a little bit skewed too, because the world champs is worth double. So if you don't do a good worlds the year before, your world ranking suffers a lot. Whereas I was third at the World Cup, the first World Cup prior to the Olympics, and then had some other really good results kind of leading into that. So probably on paper, if you looked at the start list, there was probably 5 or 6 people that you'd be like, these ones will probably be the podium, make up the podium. And I would have put myself in that group. So yeah, I was definitely confident that, look, if I executed well, and some things fell my way, like in kayak cross, it's someone can just take you out, and that's the end of your day.
Yeah.
And so if I could stay out of the conflict, I guess, and execute well, that I'd be in with a real good shot. So yeah, it was just about finding out what was important in Paris at that particular venue, to be able to go fast. And we knew that the start was crucial. In some races, it's not as crucial because of the way they set up the course. So in Paris, we had the start, and then there was quite a long sprint until the first upstream, which is really where most of the overtaking happens. So if you could get a good start, you could actually build a bit of a lead and then defend easier in the first upstream.
Sure.
Whereas at some races, it's basically the start ramp and then straight into the upstream. So everyone's still really close together. So then there's a little bit more, I guess there's more random stuff that can happen, right? Like people can attack you and overtake, and you need to do different defenses and things like that. So we knew that was going to be important, and focused a lot on that start. So kind of figured that out. And then through that, I was really confident that I could execute that technique really well. And that's not to say that other people couldn't also go fast off the ramp. It's just I knew what I wanted to do to make myself go fast. And then pretty much you just land off the ramp and then just send it and see what happens, because you can't control what everyone else does. But yeah, pretty much through the rounds in Paris, that's what I was doing. And I think most of my starts I executed reasonably well. There was actually a couple rounds, including the final, where I clipped another person's boat, let go of my paddle for a split second, and then grab back onto it. But that's just stuff that happens, and you don't really notice it unless you watch it in slow motion.
It's such an electrifying sport to watch. When you finished up in that final, what goes through your mind in the moments when you have won a gold medal? How does, what was that run like for you? Was it like, was your heart thumping? Were you as excited, or were you kind of in a position of calmness and clarity of thought and deed that I guess you kind of need to have in such a high pressure sporting situation?
Yeah, I think if I think back through the whole, I guess that whole final race, we'd already had 2 races before that, but the final race, there's probably 3 or 4 times during the race that I was really conscious. And then the other times it was more, you're just fully in the zone and have to, if you get pulled out of that zone too much and can't get back into it, then, you start thinking about things that aren't going to help you actually go fast. And so, before I went up the ramp, one of my best friends, and my partner Courtney's best friend, Noemi Fox, she's an Australian girl. She just won the same event, and obviously the women's class, like a heat before mine. And so I kind of had that, and I heard that in the commentary. And so that was a point where I was really conscious about what was happening around me. And then I was like, oh, time for me to go, go and give it a run. And then, so yeah, going up the ramp, and then probably the next time, like I was, like all I wanted to do was start well. So I had a bit of a kind of routine and was just really focused on the gate in front of me. So there's kind of a little vertical gate that stops you sliding off, and I was just really focused on that and ready for that beep, and then apps just send it after that. And then there was another time, so when I popped out in front out of kind of the hectic start, I was conscious and went, oh, here we go. We can't, we're on for one here. And then pulled myself right back into it, because obviously that's right at the start of the race and you've got to, get back in. And then after the first up, so come down, execute the roll, and then the first upstream. And then I could feel Joe Clark, so the British guy, basically catching up to me. He's an absolute tank. So I could feel him kind of breathing down my neck a little bit. And that was another really conscious moment where I just went, come on, keep pushing. And then got back in the zone again. And then the last upstream, like if there's one thing that can pull you out of the flow or out of the zone, it's you're leading the Olympic Games and, in the final with a chance to win a gold medal. And the only thing you've got to do is execute one technique that you've done thousands of times, and, can do every single time. But in that moment, like something so simple can then make you screw that up. So I just literally just kind of told myself in my head, I was like I took a little breath, and then execute, and then just grab the last up, and then whipped it around, and knew from then obviously that I was gonna win. And then I actually thought to myself, which is quite funny, so mum always sort of said she didn't really like when people floated to the finish. So if someone's leading by a long shot,
arrogance,
and just kind of float to the end. Yeah, they should just keep pushing to the finish. Like it's not done, and it's a bit not disrespectful, but it's just keep going all the way to the finish. And I sort of pulled out of the last up and sort of did a couple strokes, and then thought about that, which was really funny. And then kept paddling all the way to the finish, and and then honestly from then on it was just hectic, because I had a load of the team and support staff, and my coach Aaron and stuff were right there when I finished. So when I was going over the finish line, I looked to the right, and it's funny because there was just a sea of green and gold, because it was all the Aussies had just been celebrating Noemi win. And then, most of them, or probably all of them, are my mates from when I've been going to Australia since I was 15 and racing with them. And so to have all of them as well as the teammates, watching and cheering me go over the finish line was insane. And Aaron, my coach, was the first one to congratulate me, and then Noemi was next, who just won her gold medal. So and then it was just wild since then, pretty much. All the hectic stuff that happens after that, it's just my brain was absolutely scrambled.
You of course had the I guess every child's dream to share that moment with your dad, you two looking like brothers, which is to say that you both look 28. That must have been a really special moment for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just insanely special. I got a little bit of a moment with mum and dad, my sister, my partner Courtney, and the rest of kind of my friends and family who were there in Paris. Just after the podium ceremony, I could go across to the stands and see them and give them a hug and stuff. But after that, we were away for quite a while doing media and doping control and all sorts of things. And so, to then meet up with mum and dad and have those moments, like, I didn't think, that giving my medal to dad would, I guess, would connect with so many people. Well, I mean, I didn't know anyone was filming it, to be honest, but that medal is as much theirs as it is mine, probably more theirs, to be honest. So,
well, it's a moment.
Having those times is super special.
It's a moment, I think, that resonated with so many people because it's something that so many people would love to do for the people who supported them in their lives and made the thing happen. So I feel like everybody related to that moment, even if not everybody can win a kayaking Olympic gold medal. We've got just a couple of minutes left before the news. Now, you are actually you're in Auckland at the moment. You're going to be speaking at the Auckland Travel Show. Tell us a bit about this.
Yeah, that's right. So, the travel show presented by Allianz. So they're a official partner of the New Zealand Olympic team. So through that partnership, I was invited along to speak at the travel show and basically share a few travel experiences, maybe some little travel hacks, and obviously paddling has taken me to some pretty cool places around the world, and obviously a lot of them I paddle on kind of artificial whitewater courses, but there's some pretty special places that throughout the world and throughout Europe that we've been able to travel to, and so hopefully I can share a few of those with the guys on the weekend, guys and girls on the weekend.
And that's happening at Auckland Travel Show on the 22nd and 23rd of March 2025 at the Auckland Showgrounds. Hopefully most of your recommendations in terms of spots will be accessible to people who are not Olympic level kayakers. That's a thing to take into consideration.
I'll make sure they're not too extreme for everyone.
Good, cool. Finn Butcher, really nice chatting to you. Fascinating stuff, and take care. Till next time.
Thank you very much.
That is Finn Butcher there. New Zealand kayaker and the winner of the inaugural Olympic kayak cross event at the Paris Olympic Games last year.